Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Tashfiha Nusrat Ruhi. I work as a research investigator at icddr. Today, I'm going to present a research that me and my team have conducted on the multi-level interlinked factors driving unintended pregnancy among female garment workers in Bangladesh. Nothing is more fundamental to bodily autonomy of women than the ability to decide whether or not to become pregnant. Yet, many women in Bangladesh are unable to make this life-altering reproductive choice. Unintended pregnancy refers to pregnancies that are reported to have been either unwanted or mistimed. Globally, around 121 million pregnancies are unintended each year, and the majority of these take place in low and middle-income countries. So existing research already links unintended pregnancy with several negative outcomes in the area of maternal health and child health, including economic and social outcomes. We see that in Bangladesh, 21% of all pregnancies are unintended, according to the BDHS. There has already been extensive research that links lack of comprehensive family planning and contraception access with unintended pregnancy. However, in a patriarchal country like Bangladesh, gender inequalities dictate the agency and bodily autonomy for women. Our research objectives were, first, to measure the lifetime prevalence of unintended pregnancy among female garment workers, and second, to utilize the socio-ecological model to understand the interconnected drivers across multiple levels of influence. So we looked at individual, interpersonal, institutional, and community. We used data from the first round of longitudinal cohort of married female garment workers aged 15 to 27, and we used it for both qualitative and quantitative data collection in 3 slums. The survey sample included 656 currently married female garment workers, and the qualitative data included 40 in-depth interviews and 9 key informant interviews. So this is our inductive thematic analysis framework, where we looked at individual characteristics, family planning practice, belief, influence of social network, occupational factors, and finally, norms and regulation that constrain individual behavior. In our results, we saw that the lifetime prevalence of unintended pregnancy in our quantitative sample was 43%. We also found 17 cases of unintended pregnancies from our qualitative sample of 40 in-depth interviews. So these 17 cases had come from multiple unintended pregnancies that took place in 11 women. And on the right side, you can see that most of the female garment workers had child marriage, and at the same time, they also had adolescent pregnancy. In our qualitative findings, we saw that many female garment workers mentioned lack of adequate knowledge, irregular use of contraception, and perceived effects of contraception as the main family planning related drivers that contributed to unintended pregnancy. Young age during marriage was another important socio-demographic factor that increased the likelihood of teenage pregnancy. However, one interesting thing was in our study that female garment workers themselves expressed personal belief on traditional gender roles. So they said that husband's role within the family was greater than their own, and therefore they had the ability to make choices regarding women's reproductive health. So at interpersonal level, we also saw husband's attitude, belief, and role had the strongest influence in contraception use. So most husbands expressed gender inequitable views that created a restrictive space for women to communicate and negotiate. We identified unequal negotiating power of women to negotiate their fertility preferences, as majority of women had no or low level of couple communication and negotiation, despite having distinct reproductive preferences. Most husbands believed wives should have an increased burden of maintaining contraception. However, decision-making and obtaining contraception was the responsibility of the husband. We also saw in-laws played a huge role in decision-making. Female garment workers cited long hours of work caused disruptions in their contraception use and also decreased communication with their spouse regarding family planning, as many of their husbands were also engaged in garments factories. They also said long hours of work did not allow them to go and collect or maintain family planning contraception use, as they use different types of contraception. In community level, we saw cultural norms of proving fertility after marriage was another important social expectation that guided our study population. At the same time, restrictive gender norms enabled the atmosphere where men continued to make decisions regarding sexual reproductive health. In our discussion, we can correlate the existing literature on causes of unintended pregnancy related to contraception use. However, our qualitative focus adds another crucial layer of underlying gender-related barriers that plays a significant role in influencing unintended pregnancy among women in Bangladesh and especially female garment workers. We know that contraception is key, but simply providing contraception is not enough. Gender-related barriers existed across different levels of socio-ecological model that prevented women from exercising their rights to communicate, access, and use family planning based on their fertility preference. We know that existing literature in LMICs tell us that targeting only women for family planning services leaves out husbands who are responsible for controlling reproductive choices. And finally, I end with brief conclusions made from our study, which is we need more comprehensive family planning services within the factory. We need to target motivations that influence male partner to improve spousal communication. And finally, a strong focus needs to be there on equity and gender transformative approaches to address key actors who influence these harmful social norms. Thank you very much for your time.